I'm entitling the drasha for this week, "The Mystery of the Malach," and I call it mystery because when it comes to this Malach, whatever you want to call it, whatever we think it is, there's no consensus among the commentators as to what it is, and we're going to try to uh, uh, understand some of the major differences between the commentators on this term Malach, and get into a little bit of a depth as to what its impact is. So the parsha we know of Mishpatim is divided into two parts. The first part is chock full of halachos and laws, and it's quite dry, and it's very dense. But in the end of the parsha, we have something that's really spiritual, and that it seems that it is significant in terms of the relationship between the Bnei Israel and Hashem, and that's what I want to focus on here. So we're going to be looking at the commentary of Rav Hirsch and Rashi, and especially the Abarbanel, who attaches great importance to this Malach. So let's start with chapter 23, 20 and 21, and it would help to have a Chumash handy. So Pasuk 20 says, "Hinei anochi shaleach malach." Behold, I am sending to you, and the translation that's used in this Hirsch edition is messenger, because Hirsch does not hold that it's a malach. I'm sending you a messenger, lifanecha lishmorcha baderech, before you to guard you on the way. Ulhaviacha el hamakom asher hachinosi, and to bring you to the place that I have prepared for you. The second pasuk, 23, sentence 21, Hishamer, beware of him, mipanecha ushma b'kolo, and obey his voice. Al tamer bo, don't allow any bitterness against him to arise. Ki lo yisa lefish achem, because he cannot pardon your disobedience. Kishmi b'kirbo, for he bears my name in him. So what is this malach about? Let's just talk about the clear meaning as best we can of these sentences, of these words, before we get into the commentary. So it's clear that the malach is there to help the Bnei Yisrael. It's supposed to be an asset to them, to watch over them, and to ensure that they get to the promised land, to Eretz Yisrael, Asher Hachinosi, the place that's been prepared by Hashem for them. That's the first point. The second point is it's to encompass, it appears, a relatively short period of time, because at this time, before the sin of the Egel and before the sin of the Meraglim and Korach, it was felt that they would be going into Eretz Yisrael very, very soon. And at that time, when they got into Eretz Yisrael, the Malach would no longer be needed. Right. Third, the idea is to mind the angel, not to disobey. Al tamirlo. It's a reference to, it seems to me, the complaining in Beshalach. It's not going to be tolerated now. Don't revolt. Tamir is a term of revolution. Why? Because this angel cannot pardon you. That's the limitation of the angel. The angel will have to go to higher authority before you're pardoned. You're going to have a harder time getting pardoned now than you were in Beshalach. So don't go in that direction, it seems. Right? And fourth, the comforting part is Shmi B'kir Bo. God says, I am with you. Right? The angel represents me, but the angel is only acting on behalf of me. The angel is an underling. The angel, of course, is not in control. Hashem is in control. But the structure of the relationship between Hashem now is changed, because we have what it seems to be an intermediary between the Bnei Israel and Hashem. Now, so it seems that what we have here is a kind of double-edged sword. First of all, the Malach, whatever it is, protects and helps. As I said, it's an asset. It strengthens the Bnei Israel. On the other hand, it doesn't forgive. Its posture is tougher than the posture of apparently that the Bnei Israel had to deal with Hashem earlier. Only Hashem forgives. Right? Hashem is with them here, but now consider the problem that they face later on when the Bnei Israel sin with the golden calf. Then Hashem is angered, and Hashem says, "I won't be with you, and I'm sending you a malach to be with you." So here we see that before they sin, Hashem is with them with the malach. You have the Shem and the malach. Then later on, when they sin with the egel, Hashem says, "I'm not going to be with you, but I'm going to send you a malach." Right? What difference does this make, whether Hashem is with them or not? Right? Of course, the Bnei Israel are upset when Hashem says He's not going to be with them. To have the malach alone is very problematic, and Moshe prays about that. It's not enough. It's not good enough, right? So now this problem of the malach arises when the malach is not an angel. I'm sorry, when the malach is an angel. There is an opinion that the malach is not an angel, and that is in Rav Hirsch. So the malach doesn't have to be an angel. So for example, Yaakov had a malach hagoel. Rav Hirsch argues that the term malach could be used for any kind of contrivance or any kind of element that Hashem arranges for any purpose. And a main point that Hirsch is making, we don't find that an angel, that God sends orders or instructions through angels. So he takes it. So Rav Hirsch takes it that Moshe is meant. The term malach actually refers to Moshe. And that another proof is that in Bamidbar it says, in reviewing the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim, of the Exodus from Egypt, it says Vayishlach malach vayotzienu miMitzrayim. God took us out of Mitzrayim with a malach. So it has to be Moshe. There's no question about that. Now, this idea that Hashem doesn't send orders or instructions through an angel is disputed, right? As we'll see by the Abarbanel. Right? Now, most of the commentaries maintain that the malach is indeed an angel, but they say it doesn't take effect until later, not immediately. For example, Rashi says, in reference to the angel, Kan nisbasru. Here they were informed, referring to the Bnei Israel, she'atidin lachato, that they would come to sin, right? Ushchina omeres, and the heavenly presence is, Hashem is going to tell them, ki lo ele b'kir b'cha. And this is in Parshas Ki Sisa, that Hashem would not go up with you. So it seems that for Rashi, what the angel reflects is that the malach is a kind of a consolation prize. The Bnei Israel sinned, but they get something. They're not completely bereft. Hashem, in His compassion, gives them a kind of stand-in for Hashem Himself. Naturally, as we said before, this will cause a lot of pain to the Bnei Israel. It will highlight Moshe, who tries to change this situation through tefillah. Now, how can you have a substitute from Hashem to be with them? It seems like a non-starter. Now, one commentator, the Abarbanel, says that they received the angel immediately. The angel doesn't just come with the sin of the egel. He takes the malach literally, if that's possible. He spends a lot of writing on it, because a lot of questions are raised for him, and we can only just look at one of them, as we'll see. Why did Hashem send the Malach now, right? And here the Abarbanel is speaking for Hashem, right? Ein atem muchanim v'lo yacholim lishmoa devarai. Hashem says to the Bnei Israel, you're not able to listen to what I have to say. And what's the evidence for this? When they got the 10 Commandments, it was very difficult to absorb whatever they heard. Some commentators say they heard 2 commandments. Some commandments, some commentators, including the Rambam, said that they couldn't hear any kind of words. They didn't hear any kind of words, but it was just too much for them. So they asked Moshe to stand in for them, right? Kach hamadaber hazeh eino muchan lisbol hadavuk ha'elyon v'hashgaskati ha'elyon. In this empty place, the midbar, right? You're not able. You don't have the sensory ability or the cognitive ability to really absorb what God is saying. It's really a technical problem that Hashem wants to be with you. Hashem wants to relate to you, and you want to relate to Him. But there's the meeting of the minds is made more difficult by the gap between the two of you. L'chein hinei anochi sholeach malach lefanecha. I'm going to help you out. I'm going to send you a malach to be a kind of intermediary, in order so you won't have to say that Hashem's word is too powerful to be able to understand. Right? There is love and closeness, but it just has to be done through an intermediary, right? And the Abarbanel says that the intermediary, this malach, this angel, is at work. It is functioning. For example, it's the malach who gives the mitzvos at the beginning of Mishpatim, according to the Abarbanel, at the beginning of the parsha and most of the parsha. The malach and Moshe tells Moshe and Aharon and the Zikanim to go up to the mountain. He gives them instructions. Moshe alone went near God, but this was the malach requesting that they move. The malach is giving them directions, as though Moshe needed it. So God is not communicating directly with Moshe, but through the malach, He says, right? And of course, the malach, says the Abarbanel, acts on behalf of Hashem. So the Abarbanel disagrees with the view that Moshe doesn't need an intermediary. In fact, the Maimonides argues that every prophet needs an angel except Moshe. Moshe doesn't need it. So that's why the Rambam says, the Maimonides says that the malach presence becomes important only for Yoshua after Moshe has passed away. But the Abarbanel doesn't agree with that. The Abarbanel says that even Moshe needs an intermediary, right? Now the Abarbanel asks a question. So if Moshe prayed and cried out after the sin of the Egel, why didn't he cry out earlier when Hashem was with them and they hadn't yet sinned, to take away this gezerah of the angel, right? If they were unhappy about the angel later, why didn't Moshe pick up on the problem that the angel might later on come to pose to the Bnei Yisrael? So one answer is, well, Moshe just didn't know. He couldn't know that the second angel was the same as the first. But then the argument is, well, if I accepted the fact that the first angel, it was because I didn't know your rationale. Now that I know that that Hashem is not with them, please change your mind. He could have used the first angel as the argument for rejecting the second, right? He could have played on the argument of the first angel to try to reverse the problem that Hashem was not going to be with them. But he didn't do that. Moshe didn't do that. He didn't make that argument. So why not? So the Abarbanel tries to answer this question. It seemed reasonable, first of all, to have the malach. Moshe didn't ask for anything big like the man or the ananei kavod. Moshe entirely trusted Hashem, and with good reason. That it was right for the people in the desert. It was the right condition. Hashem somehow, in His great wisdom, would be able to find out what was right for the people. And so He took the people's psychology, the difficult psychology, the Keshe Oref, as a starting point, relying on Hashem to counter it, right? And the second point the answer is that if the Malach seemed to disagree, to decrease Moshe's role, if it was some kind of a diminishing of Moshe's nevuah, right? Then at least soon they would arrive in Eretz Yisrael, and the Malach would not be needed anymore, and that's what happened soon. And Moshe could assume his previous role. It would not be really a challenge to Moshe. So the Abarbanel always seems to vindicate Moshe's role in whatever the problems are, including this one with the Malach. The Malach is not a super problem. As I said before, the whole point of the Abarbanel is the Malach is there to help. It's just that the Bnei Yisrael get themselves into a problem by sinning with the ego, and then the question is, well, what's going to happen with this Malach? And there, Moshe tries to through tefillah to ensure that Hashem stays with them, and that the Bnei Israel are not going to have the Malach only the Malach, but would still have Hashem's accompaniment. Shabbat Shalom.